So connectedness to nature is a very important part of well-being, which is always missed. That if you want to have this feeling of well-being, then you should be able to understand how beautiful nature is. I enjoyed my surgery. What triggered me was my early interactions with Dr. Salim Ali, who ostensibly took me out bird watching, but I used to enjoy sitting on the back of his motorcycle. At college level, I had some very good teachers, especially in zoology and so on. They always wanted me to be a zoologist, but eventually I ended up doing surgery. But at the same time, I got involved with Bhoomi Natural History Society, which I worked for many, many years. And that was a period of time in the 1970s where wildlife was being very badly mauled in this country. We were losing species, abundance of species. We knew that forests were disappearing. We knew wetlands were vanishing. And so a lot of what I did was working towards understanding of this and getting public awareness to become a backup for this kind of activity. At the same time, I initiated my Environment Institute at Bharati Vidyapith. Currently, what we want to do more of is trying to get people everywhere in all walks of life to understand what is this aspect of sustainable development that we need to do. And a lot of it is sort of talked about as being global. But we believe that it's good to do it globally, but there is a lot that has to be done at the local level. So if you look at the 17 ESDs, the 17 SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, only one part of it is ESD, which is Education for Sustainable Development. Whereas actually that's the one that is most important for us in our country. So we have now trying to work that at the teacher level. So you train teachers to do actually projects on sustainable development at the school level. One of the things that we have been trying to do at my institute for the last 20 years is to move this from looking at small nature clubs into doing classroom work and into formal environment education. You know, it's happened in certain sectors. Like I see many more children turned on into wildlife because they're seeing wildlife on television, right? You don't see that happening for sustainability or resource use or poverty alleviation. But you see it very strongly now emerging from a fascination with wildlife. It's gone viral, as you all say. So this is something which I find very interesting. They're turned on, they're very passionate. Many of them come to us for their MSc programs, even after doing engineering or some other topic or management, and they come and say, "Mere ko to wildlife mein kaam karna hai." So this is something which I think has grown. It's grown exponentially, and once they're turned on, you can shift that towards more and more about natural resource management, about how to use resources sustainably, and what can you do in terms of creating smaller footprint and a larger handprint, which leads to change in what we want to do in life. And those changes in life of individuals changes our environment, improves our environment. I think what they're doing at Bhoomi is really wonderful. This is a sort of non-formal education that you don't get so easily. It's something that enriches your life, and you are able to take that forward, irrespective of what you do in your job afterwards. If you are able to get this connectedness to nature, to environment, to what you do in terms of how you manage your lives here, I think you're going places. If we want happiness in our lives, then we know that it's not going to come just through money. You can see so many people who have got lots of money and are never happy. And well-being means many things. It's psychological health, it's physical health, it's the whole aspect of how you fit into your ecological system and merge with what nature does. So connectedness to nature is a very important part of well-being, which is always missed. That if you want to have this feeling of well-being, then you should be able to understand how beautiful nature is. Salim Bhai was a brilliant scientist, but he was also very socially relevant. He was India's greatest conservation scientist, but he could translate that into policy making. He could go into the Prime Minister or a Chief Minister of a state's office and say, okay, I want this done because I have to save this ecosystem, or I have to save this species, and people listen to him. So he was a very strong advocacy person. Nature education is not something new in India. Nature education was something that has been there for generations, because our own culture is so steeped in nature and wildlife and species that we cannot ever forget that. But in the 30s and 40s, 1930s and 40s, when Salim Ali did this, he brought this into the formal sector. And he talked brilliantly about this. And of course, he also took some pictures and movies which people still remember. He had a huge sense of humor. He could make people get into splits of laughter on little things. And he was absolutely a brilliant person in terms of telling things in a very telling way. When he told you something like that, it was rare that he told you something. He always said, he would tell me, look it up in a book and write about it. So he'd rarely tell you something which was part of nature or ecosystems or his birds that he loved so much. It was always find out, discover, look for it. That was his paradigm.